Hey everybody, welcome back to another Spriggans Game painting tutorial. For this tutorial we are going to go through the mummy from the Horrified box set game. Super quick and easy, so this will help you get to a nice tabletop quality relatively quickly so you can get out there and start murdering people with your mummies and your villains and monsters. So the first thing I've done is gone ahead and just done a Zenith Prime. The underneath is going to be dark, and as you can see the top is white. And I'm going to come in with Vallejo Model Color Beige. And I'm not really concerned about where it gets right now. I'm just going to cover up the entire mini. Just give him a quick coat here. So I will get this all painted up and then show you what the next step looks like. So now that that base color has dried, I'm going to come in with a wash of Seraphim Sepia, and I'm just going to do a complete all over wash on this mummy here. And I don't want the wash to pool in too many places, so I'm going to kind of push it around, make sure it gets to where I want it. As you can tell, like some of it, by the arms here is pulling up, so I'm just going to move that around and just kind of spread the Seraphim Sepia everywhere. I want these bandages to look old, and so this will be a quick and easy way to get that. And that's that all covered with the wash, so we'll let that dry and then come back with some highlights. So now that the Seraphim Sepia has dried, I want to come in with a Vallejo Game Color Bone White, and I'm going to do a dry brush, and I want to make sure I'm going in a downward motion because I just want to get the very tips of the bandages, and so I want to make sure that I'm not going up and down or back and forth, but I'm going with the bandages, and I'm just kind of going over the tops of everything because I want to have some color variation, but I do want the majority of those bandages to be that yellowish sepia color, so they've been worn and used because he's been dead for a little while. And so I'll finish up with this dry brush here, and then I'll show you what we've got going on. So there's what the mummy looks like at the end of the dry brush. Just got the bone white on the very tips and the rest of the pale white color underneath. So now what I'm going to do is paint the face. I'm going to come in with some Vallejo Game Color, the extra opaque line, heavy warm gray, and we're just going to focus on getting his face, like I said, and I want kind of a darker, sickly looking face, so I'm going with this base color here, and just coming through and coloring up his face and getting his ear a little bit here. And so I'm going to do a couple coats of this and then we'll get to the next step. So I'll be right back. Okay, so now I've got the face all painted up. I'm going to come in with some Vallejo Model Color, or I'm sorry, Game Color Dead Flesh to paint the face, and with that purplish kind of color underneath, it's going to give a nice color to this dead flesh. So I want to come in and hit almost the entire face, but I'm going to leave the deepest recesses in the eyes and in the nose and some of the mouth area in that purplish, so it looks kind of, dead, as you would expect a zombie to look. So I'm going to paint up these layers here, and I'm going to show you what I have going on for his face. So I'll be right back. So now that his face is all painted up, I'm actually going to come in with a mix of that bone white, or I'm sorry, that dead flesh, and then bone white, and I'm going to hit the tips of some of his face. I'm going to hit like the bridge of the nose and above his eyebrows and such. This is about a 50-50 mix here. So I want it to look, I still want it to look pale, but I want it to have a little bit of color. And so I'm going to come in and hit the bridge of his nose and right above his eyebrows. And his cheekbones are pretty defined. And so I want to hit those to give him a little bit more oomph to his face, because I still want him to look dirty and pale and kind of desecrated, but I want him to have just a little bit of standout color, because he's very white, very kind of dirty yellow and such. But there's those highlights done real quick. And so he's actually, I'm going to call him finished. I like how he looks. I'm going to go ahead and get the base done. So I'm going to get my colors ready for that and show you what that looks like. Okay, so what I'm going to do is start with the base, and I'm going to start with Vallejo Game Color Beastie Brown. And I just want to lay down a coat for the base. I'm actually going to be putting some texture over this, so I'm not too concerned if there's brush strokes or anything, because you shouldn't be able to see them when the texture goes down. But I do want it there, that way if there's a gap or anything in that texture, you'll see this brown underneath it, so it'll kind of blend in and you won't notice. So I'm going to paint up this base, put a couple layers down real quick, and then I'm going to show you what the texture looks like. Alright, so now that that undercoat for that base is all dry, I'm going to use Vallejo Earth Texture. I really love this stuff, and it's actually kind of reminiscent of peanut butter. And I'm just going to start putting it on the base, and I'm kind of giving it a stippling motion or a dabbing motion to create different effects in the ground. I actually ran out, and I was going to put in some of the Citadel skulls, which would be perfect for this, but I ran out of them, so I don't have that right now. But if you do have some, it'd be perfect time to place them in here. This stuff works kind of like a glue, honestly, and so you can depress it down into the earth texture and it'll hold it in place and get that all painted up. But I'm going to go ahead and put this earth texture down all over this base, let it dry, and then I'll show you what we're doing for our next step. Now that the base is dry, I'm going to come in with a wash of Agrax Earthshade. I actually have it in my Army Painter bottles, but I assure you, it's Agrax Earthshade. And so all I'm going to do is just get the shade all over the base here to start adding some depth to the texture that we just put on the last step. So I'm gonna get this shade all on here and let this dry and be right back. So now that that wash has fully dried, I'm gonna come in with a dry brush here of Vallejo Game Color Beastie Brown and just hit the tops of all of these areas of this raised earth here. And like I said, if you had a skull, this would really come out, and I kind of wish that I picked some up now that I'm working on this, but I can always add it later. It just won't be embedded into the earth. But I'm gonna get this dry brush done, and then I'm actually gonna come in with another dry brush of Vallejo Model Color Brown Sand, and this is gonna be more of a, I guess, an edge highlight dry brush, you could call it. I want to get the very tops of these little dirt mounds. So I'm going to come in kind of soft at first to see what it looks like. And it actually looks pretty doggone good. So I'm going to go ahead and dry brush the rest of this, get this finished up. We're gonna paint the rim of the base, and the mummy is going to be complete. So I'll finish this dry brush and I will be right back. So there's the base all dry brushed. Now I'm going to come in with the Pro Acryl Coal Black and just hit the rim of the base here. This is going to be at least 2 layers, might be a little more depending on what you went for with what's the word I'm looking for? I'm sorry, with your priming. Jeez, had a complete disaster there. So I'm going to go ahead and just finish up this rim, and I'll show you what the final product looks like for the mummy here. And there we go, that's the final look at the mummy for Horrified, the board game. Kind of really easy, quick painting guide there. Hopefully you found it helpful. I'm gonna paint the rest of these and show you what those look like as we get them going. So if you have any questions or if you have anything you want to add, please let me know. As always, like, comment, share, subscribe, all the normal YouTube stuff, and we'll see you in the next episode. Goodbye.